me hear you sing it.
Hello and welcome to the Multicultural AFL Footy Show. Round 22 commences on Friday night from the MCG with another dismal Demons display. Well done to the John Swans taking the win. Carlton beat the Saints, Brisbane by 1 point over the Cats, and the Magpies are on the way back while North Melbourne destroyed the Power. In the other games, Freo lost to Essendon, the Bulldogs decimated the Giants, and the Hawks had a nice walk in the park. All of the reviews and our special guest, Richmond Footy Club AFLW player and the AFL's Victoria Multicultural Development Officer, Akesh Makur Chuot. I am Vanessa Gatica and I'm joined by my two co-panelists, Javier Sincan and Gabriel D'Angelo. Hello guys.
Hello Vanessa.
Vanessa, Javier.
Round 22 kicked off last Friday night from the MCG with Sydney more than doubling the Demons' score, who were absolutely hopeless. Carlton had a good win against the Saints, and Brisbane, the real deal, came from 24 points down halfway through the last quarter to beat the Cats by a point and perch on top the AFL ladder on a game clear. The Magpies had a good one against the Crows. North, with Ben Brown kicking 10 goals, won by 84 over the Power. Essendon surprised by beating Freo in the West, and the Bulldogs kept the Giants goalless after half-time to win by 61 points, while Houghton and Roughly had a walk in the park at the expense of the Suns. Javier, what do you think?
Well, I believe Ruffy had a very good game, 6 goals. I'm not sure it's still a farewell game or not because the way he played, he's due for another one, but you don't know with Alistair Clarkson. The one thing I loved over there was when Jack Gunston, he sort of came in front of Ruffy and he got the mark instead of him, so he felt bad and all the Hawks fans booed him as well. Well, that's how much they love Ruffhead, and it's amazing that other clubs as well, he's loved by everyone. So he deserved a farewell game. I'm glad he got it, and I'm pretty sure he might be in for the next one as well. So that was one highlight. The other highlight was with Carlton as well for me, because that was a very close game and we expected to go either way, and they had more sort of determination, and even there we saw that Daisy, when he did well, and all the Carlton fans were like standing ovation and everything. So it tells you like how much the fans feel about the clubs as well and the players and everything. So that's what sort of makes this game great as well. So I would say the Carlton, they showed the promise, and Ben Retton, I think if it wasn't for the loss, he would have been chosen already as a next coach. But what a start by Teague. He's proved his mettle, and a very close game, and he made Carlton win. Swans, I think that was expected. Demons, like they're just going further down and down. I don't know how is Simon Goodwin gonna stay over there. I think it's gonna be few games at the start of the next season or so, which will determine his future. Although he's been he's been saying on the interviews that they're trying few things in the back half, front half aside. How much it works, we'll see in the coming season. But that was like, as you said, dismal play by the Demons at the moment. And other than that, Brisbane versus Geelong. We come to like the big games. We always expected Brisbane to do well, but I didn't expect Geelong to do that well, to be honest. I understand that they're top of the ladder and everything, but from the dismal show they're doing at the moment, because from it's like winning and losing one game aside, that's not really a premiership side at the moment. And the way they performed over there, they performed well, but I thought Brisbane will sort of decimate them. I'm not taking anything away from Geelong. They've been in all the finals as well, that's a good thing for them. They're already in the finals. So when it comes to the finals, they know how to play good footy. So although I would say that Geelong should have won that one, but Brisbane, we know they are comeback kings. So they've proved it again. So it's going to be very hard when you can say that unless the siren sounds of the fourth quarter, you can't say that you won Brisbane. So this is a pretty good for any team. So other than that, I believe North Melbourne. I didn't like when he said last time when we were talking about Coleman that he might jump up. I never thought that he would.
That's
be
why
able
I'm here. That's why I'm on the program.
Yes, I hate to admit. I'm very saddened to admit that. But yeah, he was right. He backed 10 goals like against a team like Port Adelaide. I mean that's just awesome. And if I don't really see Jimmy Cameron coming back. Although he's got a potential to grab a bag of goals as well. But then again, he's North Melbourne is against Melbourne, I think. So another chance for him to make his tally better. So I believe he might do well again. And by Bulldogs, I think my only concern was their inaccuracy in front of the goals. They didn't have that. So we saw that was other than that, Bulldogs played very well, I believe.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were a lot of questions aimed at Collingwood, Essendon and the Western Bulldogs during the week. There was a lot of questions about whether or not they have what it takes to make it to the finals. They had 3 very tough assignments on the road and each team passed very, very well. Just touching up on Essendon because there was so much pressure on John Warshfold after that embarrassing performance against Western Bulldogs. Going over to Perth, even though some might say, well, it's against Fremantle. Fremantle aren't doing very well. That's fine. But to go over to Perth, whether it's against Fremantle or West Coast Eagles, it's always a tough assignment. So after losing so badly and then going to Perth, Essendon did an extremely good job to bounce back and win. They needed that win so badly. And now things are slowly starting to get into shape for Essendon. Who knows what's going to happen this week against Collingwood. It's going to be an amazing game, but at least they've saved a little bit of face. The Western Bulldogs, congratulations to them. They were sensational against the GWS Giants. They were brilliant. And that's another game where they needed to stay alive. They needed to have that win. And it's tough to play against GWS at their home ground, and they did an amazing job. It seems like the Western Bulldogs aren't afraid of anyone at the moment. They are playing such good footy right now. And there is these little touches of how like echoes of 2016's season, about how they won their premiership seemingly out of nowhere. But they've done an amazing job these past few games. And I just wanted to touch up on GWS, that performance against the Western Bulldogs. They've been so disappointing. We've expected so much more from them. I mean, I'll be the first to admit that I thought at the beginning of the year that GWS are going to possibly go all the way. Maybe not win the grand final, but at least be in the top 4 and be major contenders. But now I'm not so sure. And there's a lot of questions that has to be asked about GWS's medical department. They keep getting injuries year in, year out to some of their really good players, and not 1 or 2, but quite a lot of injuries. That's a question they have to answer. Also, they need to ask, with the players that they've got, with the talent that they have at disposal, the young guys coming in, and also the experienced players like Mumford, giving them a hand, surely they should be doing better than what they are. I mean, that's the second home loss they've had against opposition, which they should have won. With all due respect, they should have won against Hawthorn, and they should have been, or at least been better against Western Bulldogs, and they've lost two games. And so my third question about GWS is, where are they going? It's been 10 years that the GWS have been alive. They haven't made any dent in the area of Western Sydney. There's just, it's like they've been in existence for 10 years and there's really been not much going on in terms of growth in that area. The AFL putting in almost $40 million to prop up that club, and there's really not much to show for it. They said in that game against the Western Bulldogs there was 10,000 people. No way. That is complete crap. There was less than about 4,000. So there's major problems and major question marks about GWS. We ask questions about Gold Coast. We need to ask questions about GWS as well.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, very interesting, boys. As we move into the last round of the home and away season, we will be back after this short break with our special guest, Akesh Makur Chuot. Stay tuned on the Multicultural AFL Footy Show. Welcome back. With us tonight, we have AFL's Victoria Multicultural Development Officer and Tigers AFLW player, Akesh Makur Chuot. Welcome to the AFL Multicultural Footy Show, Akesh.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Akesh, can you tell us about your journey to being involved in Aussie Rules football and what does footy mean to you?
My footy journey started back in 2013. I went and joined the Mandarin Hawks, which is a team in Western Australia, and I just absolutely fell in love with the game and started playing with the women's there. And within a couple of weeks, I got selected to go and play for the state team. So I went down, trialled, and then went to Cairns and played in the Nationals. And then the AFL then announced that they were going to have the AFLW competition, which was in 2016. And then I nominated for the draft. And then I was picked up by Fremantle in the first inaugural year. And yeah, the roller coaster of footy just hasn't stopped ever since. And for me, what it personally means to me is the opportunity, as a young African woman, to be able to run out on the footy field and represent my community, and also tell younger kids that come to this country that this game's for everyone and they too can do it. So that's what it means to me. Yeah.
You have a role with the AFL Victoria and the Multicultural Development Program. What does that role entail, and also how important is that role, not just for you but also for AFL's development?
So I look after two programs at AFL Victoria. So I look after one of our community program called the Unity Cup, and the Unity Cup started back 12 years ago, and it was a two teams program that's now gone from 2 teams to this year we had our gala day, and we had over 60 teams come and participate in this day. So for us, it means that we are getting different diverse communities into the game to come and give the game a go, but not also as players, but also they can be administrators, they can go and do umpiring, which is another crucial aspect of the game as well that's needed. And all these roles are what we tell our kids that they can do, and how we can involve the community to become fans of the AFL as well. And then the other second program I do is called the All Nations program, which is a state multicultural program that gets young boys and girls that are 15 years old to come through our system in the multicultural space. And then we do cultural identity sessions with them. We take them to camps and then expose them to a range of different state-based program, just to give them a taste of what making a normal mainstream state team is. And yeah, it's really important because as you can see, the amount of boys from multicultural backgrounds that are playing AFL, and I think especially with the inclusion of AFLW competition, it's really important that we let the girls know that there's a pathway now for them. So yeah, that's why it's really important for us, and it's not just getting younger girls and boys to play, but it's also that fan engagement piece for the AFL that's really important, because these are communities that don't know AFL, so they get to experience that. So yeah.
Yep, you mentioned about the Unity Cup as well. You manage that, and also you engage with the people new to the football, and you're involved with the AFL Victoria African engagement strategy as well, and the female talent engagement of the Female All Nations program to identify and develop the next generation of all the multicultural sort of players that are coming up. You briefly mentioned on the Unity Cup, but can you sort of briefly tell us more about these programs, the other programs?
Yeah, so obviously the African strategy is how we can get the wider African community involved in our great game. As we've seen, we've had a lot of young people from African background, take over AFL in the last 10 years. So it's then really how we can really build that up, and also getting our community really well and aware, because a lot of people still don't understand AFL. So it's then strategically how we get the African community into the AFL as fans, also as players, and also as administrators. And I think it's good that there's been that big of a focus for us in that space, and then obviously with the All Nations program and the Unity Cup, the programs are run all year round, and they're just an important piece of that game development for AFL. Yeah.
Recently, you've been recruited to Richmond's AFLW team. How exciting is it for you to be a part of a new era at Richmond?
It's really, really exciting. For me, I grew up in a refugee camp called Kenya, and for me, I didn't really have a dream of, one day playing AFL. It was when I came here in 2005. That's kind of when I saw the game for the first time. So to be, part of the first inaugural AFLW competition was historic itself, and it's something that I'll forever be able to tell my future children and my community. But for now to have moved across to Victoria and come and join the Richmond Tigers in what's going to be an amazing season in the AFLW is really exciting. And for me, it's just really about how the club's bought into the women's program. We're the Richmond Football Club. It's not the women's program. It's the one club, and it just makes it really easy to be an advocate for them and to really say good things. I'm really excited to run out there with the girls in 2020, and at the moment I'm playing in the VFLW. So once that's complete, we'll then start thinking about the AFLW competition. It's going to be very exciting. Yeah, and the Tigers armies. I'm sure you guys know.
Yeah.
Into the game, they love the Richmond Football Club.
A little too much.
Yeah.
I think.
I love them too.
Yeah.
Akech, what advice would you have for people from diverse communities who want to get involved in Aussie rules?
The advice I would have for them is just to give it a go. Like for me, I grew up playing soccer, and soccer was my cup of tea for 8+ years, and I just wanted to do something different, get outside my comfort zone. And for me, at 26 years of age, I get to work at one of the biggest organisations in Australia, the AFL, and also, I'm playing AFL. And these are opportunities that I never thought I would have. So my advice is just get outside your comfort zone, ask questions. There's people like myself, I'm always ready to answer any question people have. And if I don't have the answers for you, I'll go and ask somebody else. To just put yourself out there, tell people what you're passionate about. Then when something pops up, an opportunity pops up, they'll think about you straight away. So I think it's, advice is to get outside your comfort zone and really, source other ways to get involved in the game, because there is so many different aspects that you can become a part of the AFL, and it starts by simply picking a team, actually. Picking a team to barrack for. I think that's really important. And then it's a really easy conversation starter in Australia. I find like my Australian friends can't believe that I know so much about footy. So it's,
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Akech Makur Chuot, thank you for coming in this evening. Now, time for break, and we will be back with our previews and tips for the last round of the home and away Toyota Premiership season. You are with the Multicultural AFL Football Show, so stick around. Welcome back. Okay, boys, last round, and we will take it 3 matches at a time. Round 23 commences with a Friday night footy from the MCG with a blockbuster featuring Collingwood take it on Essendon. A loss to the Magpies means the dream of finishing inside the top 4 and a double chance is finished. To Essendon, this game makes no difference. They can drop out of the 8. From the SCG, Sydney plays St Kilda from bragging rights only. A win to St Kilda will play in favour of Brett Ratten, becoming the Saints' permanent coach, and North Melbourne takes on Melbourne in a dead rubber from Tassie. Gabriel, what do you think?
Well, hopefully Brett Ratten stays on as coach of St Kilda, because like Carlton, like North Melbourne, when these caretaker coaches come in, it's just been completely different from where they've been earlier, and St Kilda is no different. So hopefully Brett Ratten stays, and hopefully because of that, St Kilda beats Sydney, and it could happen because Sydney have been really bad at home for some reason, I don't know. But St Kilda, hopefully they can win that one. North Melbourne against Melbourne. North Melbourne easily should beat Melbourne. Melbourne have been an absolute rabble this season. Melbourne have been rejuvenated under Rhys Shaw, and I think Ben Brown will kick another bag, maybe not 10, but he'll kick quite a lot, and he'll win the Coleman medal, and boy does he deserve it. He's been fantastic for North Melbourne for such a long time. And Collingwood versus Essendon, that's going to be an amazing game. Who knows who's going to win that? Essendon need to win that game badly, desperately. This is their final. They have to win this game. So I think just because of desperation's sake, they might beat Collingwood, but who knows?
Yeah, I believe for me, although the desperation should be there, but I still believe that Collingwood would win in that one. And to me, that one in Tassie, it's not a dead rubber. Coleman medal going to be decided on that day. So still, there's a lot to play for in that game, I would say. And the other one, Sydney versus St Kilda, I believe St Kilda really need to put up a good show. And I've got no doubt whatsoever that they will. The new guns coming up good at Sydney, but I think that St Kilda should be able to put up a good show against them as well. However, for TV purposes, I will go for Sydney.
On Saturday is Geelong playing at the Blues from the Qatari. Although the Blues are in form, Geelong looks likely. In fact, they have to win, as a loss to Carlton will not be tolerated by Cats fans on the eve of the finals. The Wooden Spooner Sons take on the GWS Giants, and we know where this is going to end, as GWS will be looking to score heavily against the Suns and consolidate their position on the ladder. While the West Coast in Perth play host to the Hawthorn, who will be battling a mathematical chance to get inside the 8.
I believe Geelong versus Carlton. I think Carlton would be putting up a good show, but as we saw from they're winning one and losing one. I think this is time for them to win, and it's at their home. I believe Geelong will win that comfortably. And Gold Coast versus GWS Giants. It's again that rubber. Only thing is probably Jeremy Cameron. If it's his chance, if he comes in to bag another goals and see if he could compete with Ben Brown. Other than that, there's nothing in that game. And West Coast Eagles versus Hawthorn. Look, West Coast, they proved even in the MCG like they are real deal.
Yeah.
And it come grand final, don't expect any Victorian teams that they can just run over them aside. They put up phenomenal performance, and what's more good for them that they beat Hawks, and get into their finals with that. I believe they'll be coming in hard, and although Hawks might do well, but I believe West Coast is going to come on top.
Yeah, you're right about West Coast. They lost to Richmond, but they didn't play badly. Richmond just sort of wanted it more, but you sort of have to think, is it because the weather played an advantage that it helped Richmond more than West Coast? But West Coast did a fantastic job. They are not out of it by a long shot. West Coast are going to beat Hawthorn. They're just too strong at home. GWS easily going to beat Gold Coast. They can't get complacent though. They can't think, okay, we've won that game, that's great. No, they've got to work hard because the last 2 weeks have been atrocious by their standards. And Geelong should beat Carlton only because it's at home, but I wouldn't be surprised if Carlton give a really good fight, and I hope they do, but Geelong should be too strong.
The last 3 games of the round. First off, the Bulldogs challenge the Adelaide Crows at Marshall Stadium in Ballarat. Bulldogs, currently in 8th position, are not going to give it up easily, and if they win, they stay there. Unfortunately, they can only be one winner in the Port Adelaide and Freo game from Adelaide Oval, as Port look for a way into the 8 on a slim chance. The main blockbuster this week, however, will be the MCG clash between Richmond and Brisbane Lions. This is probably the grand final preview. What do you say, Gabriel?
Yeah, it could possibly be. I mean, anything really could happen in that game. I think that Brisbane are going to give a fright to Richmond, but I think because they're at home and all that, I think Richmond are going to win. The Bulldogs are going to easily beat Adelaide. Adelaide have been extremely disappointing, and Bulldogs are going to give a huge headache or two come finals time. And Port Adelaide are going to easily beat Fremantle. Whether they make the finals, I don't know, but they should win.
Yeah, with Port Adelaide, I believe there will be few Xing of the players, but Port Adelaide will come on top of Fremantle. And Richmond versus Brisbane, as you said, it's going to be a cracker of a game, and I believe Richmond's going to come on top. I agree with you on that. And Bulldogs versus Adelaide, I think on and off field issues with the cold as well, I believe it's going to be Bulldogs game.
I believe too. Personally, I am looking forward to the Brisbane and Richmond game from the G on Sunday afternoon. That's it for another week. I thank our special guest for tonight, AFL Victoria's Multicultural Development Officer and AFLW player, Akech Makur Chuot. You've been watching and listening to the Multicultural AFL Footy Show all around Australia on the Community Radio Network, Community TV, and on Aurora TV Foxtel. We are also online through the NEMBC's AFL Football website. See you next week for the first 5 AFL Finals preview shows. I am Vanessa Gatica.
I'm Harbeer Singh.
I'm Gabriel D'Angelo.
And thank you for watching.